The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers.
The tragic death of Princess Diana in 1997 sent shockwaves around the world, forever changing the British monarchy. But perhaps no one was affected more deeply than King Charles. Behind the grandeur of royal palaces and the stoicism expected of a monarch in waiting, Charles was a man burdened by grief, guilt, and the weight of a fractured legacy. Diana's untimely demise not only altered his public image, but also deeply impacted his personal journey, leaving scars that time could never fully heal. From the intense media scrutiny that painted him as the villain in their story, to the strain it placed on his relationship with his sons, Diana's death marked a turning point in Charles's life. As he ascended the throne years later, traces of this emotional chapter lingered. But what really changed in the man behind the crown? Let's unravel the untold story, the relationship between Charles and Diana. The marriage of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer was hailed as a modern-day fairy tale when they tied the knot on July 29, 1981. Their wedding, broadcast to an audience of over 750 million people worldwide, was a moment of unity and celebration for the British public. Diana, with her shy demeanor and iconic ivory silk gown, was instantly elevated to the status of a global icon, while Charles appeared poised to fulfill his royal destiny alongside her. Yet beneath the surface of this glittering union lay a relationship fraught with challenges, complexities, and eventual heartbreak. From the outset, their marriage was marked by contrasting personalities and expectations. Diana, only 20 years old at the time of their wedding, was thrust into the intense scrutiny of royal life, a role for which she was largely unprepared. Charles, 12 years her senior, carried the weight of his responsibilities as the future king, but also the burden of living up to the public's idealized vision of a perfect royal couple. Their differences quickly became apparent as their lives unfolded in the harsh glare of media attention. Key moments defined their early years together. The births of their two sons, Prince William in 1982 and Prince Harry in 1984, were joyful occasions that briefly solidified their bond. Diana was celebrated as a devoted mother, often photographed doting on her boys and taking them on outings that showcased a more relatable human side of the royal family. Charles, too, shared moments of warmth, but his traditional upbringing and stoic demeanor often led to perceptions of emotional distance. As time passed, cracks in their relationship became impossible to ignore. Diana's magnetic charisma and deep connection with the public began to overshadow Charles, whose reserved personality and interests, such as architecture, organic farming, and classical music, did not resonate as strongly with the masses. The couple's struggles became public knowledge, with tabloids reporting on their growing estrangement and personal grievances. Diana's candid interview with BBC's Panorama in 1995 revealed the depth of their marital discord. Her words, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," alluded to Charles's long-standing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, further fueling public sympathy for Diana and criticism of Charles. The separation in 1992 and subsequent divorce in 1996 were unprecedented for the monarchy, highlighting the shifting attitudes toward the royal family in a more modern and media-savvy era. For Diana, the end of their marriage brought a new chapter of independence and activism, while for Charles, it was a period of intense scrutiny and personal reckoning. The dissolution of their relationship not only impacted their individual lives, but also had far-reaching implications for the monarchy itself, raising questions about tradition, transparency, and the institution's place in a rapidly changing world. Despite the pain and public drama, the relationship between Charles and Diana remains one of the most pivotal and scrutinized chapters in royal history, laying bare the challenges of balancing personal happiness with the demands of duty and legacy. The tragic loss of Princess Diana. The tragic death of Princess Diana on August 31, 1997, in a car crash in Paris sent shockwaves across the globe. The 36-year-old People's Princess had captivated the world with her compassion, charisma, and relatability, transcending the boundaries of royalty to become a beloved international figure. Her untimely passing marked not just the end of an era, but the beginning of one of the most intense periods of grief and reflection for both the British monarchy and society at large. In the early hours of that fateful day, Diana, along with her companion Dodi Fayed, their driver Henry Paul, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, was being pursued by paparazzi as they left the Ritz Hotel in Paris. The high-speed chase through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel ended in tragedy when their car crashed into a pillar, killing Diana, Dodi, and Henry instantly. Trevor Rees-Jones was the sole survivor, though he sustained severe injuries. News of Diana's death spread rapidly, leaving the world in a state of disbelief. It was hard to fathom that someone so vibrant, adored, and seemingly larger than life could be gone so suddenly. In the hours that followed, as media outlets broadcast the grim details, the collective shock turned into an outpouring of grief that would define the weeks to come. The reaction to Diana's death was unprecedented in scale. Across the UK and beyond, millions expressed their sorrow in a display of unity rarely seen. Floral tributes, letters, and candles began to pile up outside Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and other royal residences, creating makeshift memorials that became gathering places for mourners. The sheer volume of tributes was staggering. An estimated 1 million bouquets were laid in her honor at Kensington Palace alone. The media, which had both celebrated and hounded Diana throughout her life, now turned its lens to her legacy and the profound impact she had on the world. Stories of her humanitarian work, from championing AIDS awareness to advocating for the banning of landmines, dominated headlines, reminding people of her compassion and dedication to causes that often went overlooked by traditional royals. In death, Diana's status as the People's Princess was solidified, as her ability to connect with ordinary people became a key part of the narrative. Around the world, leaders and celebrities paid tribute to her memory. Then President Bill Clinton called her a force for good, while Nelson Mandela praised her for her empathy and courage. Ordinary citizens from countries as far as Australia and Japan expressed their condolences, demonstrating Diana's universal appeal. While the public grieved openly, the royal family's initial response drew sharp criticism. In the days immediately following Diana's death, the Queen and senior members of the royal family chose to remain at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where they were spending the summer. Their decision to shield Princes William and Harry from the overwhelming media frenzy, while understandable on a personal level, was perceived by many as a lack of empathy and detachment. At the heart of this criticism was the absence of a visible public statement from the royal family during the early days of mourning. Buckingham Palace did not lower its flag to half-mast, a symbolic gesture the public had come to expect. Many interpreted this as a sign of coldness or an unwillingness to honor Diana's memory appropriately. The monarchy's perceived silence created a growing sense of anger among the public, who were already struggling to come to terms with Diana's loss. The media, which had contributed to Diana's lifelong struggle with privacy, now fueled the narrative of a monarchy out of touch with its people. Headlines questioned whether the royal family was capable of evolving to meet the emotional needs of the nation. Protesters gathered outside royal residences, demanding acknowledgement of Diana's unique role and contributions. Under mounting pressure, the royal family began to adjust its approach. On September 5th, just one day before Diana's funeral, Queen Elizabeth II delivered a rare televised address to the nation. Standing outside Buckingham Palace, she spoke as both a monarch and a grandmother, acknowledging Diana's extraordinary legacy and expressing admiration for her impact. Diana was an exceptional and gifted human being, the Queen said. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. This speech, combined with other symbolic gestures, such as lowering the palace flag to half-mast, helped to quell some of the public anger, though lingering questions about the monarchy's emotional accessibility persisted. Diana's funeral on September 6, 1997, was a historic event watched by an estimated 2.5 billion people worldwide. The funeral procession, with Princes William and Harry walking behind their mother's coffin, alongside Prince Charles, Prince Philip, and Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, became one of the most poignant moments in modern royal history. The sight of the young princes, visibly grieving yet composed, moved millions. Earl Spencer's eulogy further cemented Diana's legacy as a unique figure who had touched countless lives. In a pointed moment, he promised to protect her sons from the invidious pressures of royal life, a remark seen as a critique of the institution Diana had struggled within. As Elton John performed Candle in the Wind, rewritten in Diana's honor, the world bid farewell to a woman whose life and death would leave an indelible mark. Diana's tragic loss not only transformed her legacy, but also forced the monarchy to confront its relationship with the public. Her death became a catalyst for modernization within the royal family, prompting greater openness and sensitivity to the needs of the people. For Charles, the tragedy was a turning point, pushing him to redefine his role as a father, a public figure, and a future king. Even decades later, the shadow of Diana's loss lingers, a poignant reminder of a life cut too short and the enduring power of her story. The emotional toll on Charles. The death of Princess Diana in 1997 left Prince Charles grappling with profound grief and emotional turmoil, much of which he faced behind closed doors. As the public mourned the loss of the people's princess, Charles bore the private weight of losing someone who had been not only a former partner, but also the mother of his two sons. The tragedy brought with it an overwhelming mix of sorrow, regret, and a renewed sense of responsibility that would define the next chapter of his life. For all the public's assumptions about Charles, those closest to him described a man deeply shaken by Diana's death. While their marriage had been fraught with tension and eventual estrangement, Diana's passing was an unexpected blow that left him grappling with unresolved emotions. According to close friends and aides, Charles was devastated by the news, immediately flying to Paris to bring Diana's body home, a gesture of duty but also personal mourning. In the immediate aftermath, Charles reportedly struggled with a sense of helplessness. The public's anger at the royal family's perceived coldness only added to his burden, with critics painting him as an emotionally detached figure. Yet those who knew him saw a different side, a father mourning not just for himself but for his sons, whose world had been irrevocably upended. Charles carried the dual responsibility of managing his grief while shielding William and Harry from the relentless media frenzy. Perhaps the most significant aspect of Diana's death for Charles was the impact on their two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Just 15 and 12 years old at the time, they were forced to endure their mother's loss under the unrelenting gaze of the public. For Charles, their well-being became his immediate and primary focus. He worked to create a protective environment at Balmoral Castle, away from the public eye, where the boys could process their grief in relative privacy. Despite criticism of the royal family's decision to remain at Balmoral during the early days of mourning, Charles was adamant that his sons needed time and space away from the spotlight. Reports suggest he was a source of quiet strength for them, encouraging them to grieve openly while also instilling a sense of duty. Charles walked alongside William and Harry during Diana's funeral procession, a moment that showcased his role as a father determined to support his children in their darkest hour. However, supporting his sons came with its own emotional toll. Charles reportedly agonized over whether he was doing enough to help them navigate their grief. The weight of being both a father and a royal figure was immense, and the emotional strain often left him questioning his own abilities. Friends noted that Charles became more introspective in the years following Diana's death, reflecting on his role in their family's struggles and the broader challenges of balancing personal feelings with public expectations. Diana's death also forced Charles to confront a complicated web of emotions tied to their troubled marriage. While the public largely blamed Charles for the breakdown of their relationship, particularly due to his long-standing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Those close to him observed a deep sense of regret. According to biographers and confidants, Charles often reflected on what might have been different had their marriage been less fraught, or had they managed to reconcile their differences. In private, Charles is said to have struggled with feelings of guilt, both as a husband and as a father. The knowledge that Diana had endured immense emotional pain during their marriage weighed heavily on him, particularly in light of her tragic end. While their separation and divorce had offered them both a degree of freedom, it also left unresolved tensions that Diana's death made permanent. Charles reportedly confided to friends that he wished he had been able to support Diana better during her life, even as he acknowledged the fundamental incompatibilities that had plagued their relationship. The public's enduring adoration for Diana added another layer of complexity. Charles found himself perpetually compared to her, with many viewing him as the cold and unfeeling counterpart to her warmth and compassion. This narrative only deepened his internal struggle as he wrestled with the reality of their relationship versus the public's perception of it. Some observers noted that Charles's actions in the years following Diana's death, particularly his efforts to modernize the monarchy and champion causes close to his heart, reflected a desire to honor her legacy in his own way. For Charles, the years following Diana's death were marked by a gradual shift in how he approached his role as a father, a public figure, and a future king. He grew closer to William and Harry, forging a bond shaped by shared grief and a renewed focus on family. At the same time, he began to redefine his public image, seeking to demonstrate empathy and accessibility in ways that resonated with a more modern audience. Yet the emotional toll of Diana's death never fully left him. Friends described Charles as a man forever changed by the tragedy, carrying with him a mix of sorrow and determination to move forward. While he could never undo the past, he sought to find meaning in the loss, both for himself and for his family. The legacy of Diana's death became a powerful reminder of the fragility of life, shaping not only Charles's personal journey but also the evolution of the British monarchy in the 21st century. Public perception of Charles after Diana. The tragic death of Princess Diana in 1997 marked a turning point in public sentiment toward Prince Charles. Already a polarizing figure due to the breakdown of his marriage and his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, Charles faced intense scrutiny and widespread backlash in the aftermath of Diana's passing. As the world mourned the loss of the people's princess, Charles found himself at the center of a storm that would take years to weather. The tragedy not only deepened the challenges to his public image but also magnified the shadow of Diana's enduring legacy. Even before Diana's death, Charles's reputation had suffered as details of their troubled marriage became public knowledge. Diana's candid interviews, particularly her 1995 Panorama appearance, painted a picture of a strained relationship in which infidelity and emotional detachment played a significant role. Her words, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," referring to Charles's long-standing relationship with Camilla, left a lasting impression on the public. Many blamed Charles for Diana's unhappiness, and sympathy for her only grew after their divorce in 1996. When Diana died, the public's grief quickly turned to anger, much of it directed at Charles and the royal family. The perception that the monarchy had treated Diana poorly throughout her life was amplified in the days following her death. Charles, already seen by some as a cold and unfeeling figure, became a focal point for the frustration and heartbreak of a mourning nation. His efforts to shield William and Harry by keeping them at Balmoral Castle during the early days of mourning were interpreted by many as a lack of respect for Diana's memory. The narrative that Charles had failed Diana in life seemed to bleed into the perception of how he was handling her death. In the years following her passing, Diana's legacy only grew stronger. She became a symbol of compassion, authenticity, and the modern royal ideal, a stark contrast to the more traditional and reserved image of Charles. Her humanitarian efforts, from AIDS advocacy to landmine eradication, were celebrated as groundbreaking, further cementing her status as a beloved global icon. For Charles, living in the shadow of Diana's legacy posed a significant challenge. Public adoration for Diana often came with implicit and sometimes explicit criticism of him. Comparisons between the two were unavoidable. Where Diana was seen as warm and approachable, Charles was often viewed as distant and disconnected. Her ability to connect with ordinary people remained a cornerstone of her posthumous image, making it difficult for Charles to win over a public that had idolized her. The rise of Diana's legacy also complicated Charles's relationship with his sons, particularly Prince Harry. In later years, Harry would speak openly about his mother's impact on his life and the pain of her absence, further highlighting the unique and irreplaceable role she played in their family. For Charles, this dynamic underscored the challenge of honoring Diana's memory while carving out his own place in the narrative. In the face of such intense scrutiny, Charles embarked on a slow and deliberate effort to repair his reputation. One of his primary strategies was to focus on his royal duties and philanthropic work, showcasing his dedication to causes that reflected his personal passions and values. His leadership of the Prince's Trust, which he had founded in 1976, became a cornerstone of his public image. The charity's efforts to support disadvantaged young people resonated with a public that was beginning to see a more human side of the prince. Charles also began to embrace a more open and modern approach to his public role. He made efforts to connect with ordinary citizens, often engaging directly with communities and speaking about issues such as climate change, sustainable agriculture, and interfaith dialogue. These causes, which had once been seen as niche or eccentric, began to gain broader recognition as critical global issues, lending credibility to Charles's advocacy. Despite these efforts, the question of his relationship with Camilla remained a major obstacle. Public acceptance of their relationship was slow, with many still associating Camilla with the breakdown of his marriage to Diana. Over time, however, Charles and Camilla's commitment to one another and her low-key approach to royal duties helped soften public opinion. Their eventual marriage in 2005 marked a turning point, signaling a more settled and mature phase of Charles's life. Charles's journey to repair his reputation has been one of balancing personal redemption with the demands of royal duty. While he could never fully escape the shadow of Diana's legacy, he has worked tirelessly to redefine himself as a compassionate and forward-thinking leader. His ability to persevere through decades of criticism, coupled with his dedication to causes that reflect his deeply held beliefs, has earned him a degree of respect and understanding. In the years since Diana's death, Charles has shown a willingness to adapt and evolve, a quality that has helped him regain some public trust. Yet the memory of Diana remains a powerful force, shaping not only Charles's personal journey but also the broader narrative of the British monarchy. As he continues to fulfill his royal responsibilities, the story of his life will always be intertwined with hers, a testament to the enduring impact of their relationship and the challenges of navigating grief, love, and legacy in the public eye. Charles' journey of redemption. The path to redemption for Prince Charles was neither swift nor straightforward. Following the scandals surrounding his troubled marriage to Princess Diana and the subsequent public backlash, Charles embarked on a determined effort to rebuild his image, redefine his role, and carve a meaningful place for himself within the modern monarchy. Central to this journey was his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, his commitment to environmental and philanthropic causes, and his efforts to modernize the royal family's image in a rapidly changing world. For many years, Charles's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles was a source of controversy and public disapproval. Long seen as the third party in his marriage to Diana, Camilla became a symbol of betrayal in the eyes of the public. However, their bond endured, and Charles remained steadfast in his commitment to her. Over time, the couple worked to shift public perception, opting for a slow and careful approach to reintroduce Camilla into royal life. By the early 2000s, attitudes toward their relationship began to soften. Camilla's understated demeanor and her dedication to charitable work gradually won over some critics. Their marriage in 2005 marked a turning point, symbolizing a new chapter in Charles's life. The ceremony was deliberately modest, reflecting a desire to respect Diana's memory and acknowledge the sensitivities surrounding their union. Over the years, Camilla's role as a supportive and hardworking member of the royal family helped ease public skepticism, and by the time Charles became king, she was widely regarded as an essential part of his life and work. One of the defining features of Charles's redemption journey was his long-standing advocacy for environmental and charitable causes. For decades, he had been an outspoken proponent of sustainable living, organic farming, and the fight against climate change, issues that were once considered niche but have since gained global urgency. Through his leadership of organizations such as the Prince's Trust and his efforts to raise awareness about ecological sustainability, Charles established himself as a forward-thinking leader with a genuine passion for making a difference. His commitment to these causes resonated with a younger generation of activists and global leaders, earning him newfound respect and recognition. Charles often used his platform to highlight pressing issues such as deforestation, ocean conservation, and renewable energy. His initiatives, like promoting green architecture and organic agriculture, showcased a willingness to lead by example and address critical challenges facing the world. Rebuilding his relationship with the public required more than addressing past controversies. It required Charles to modernize his approach and embrace a more relatable and compassionate image. He began engaging directly with communities, attending events that highlighted social issues, and speaking candidly about his personal values and vision for the future. Charles also worked to modernize the royal family's image, emphasizing themes of inclusivity, innovation, and environmental stewardship. His involvement in bridging interfaith dialogue, celebrating cultural diversity, and championing mental health awareness reflected a shift toward addressing contemporary societal challenges. These efforts were complemented by his sons, Princes William and Harry, who carried forward Diana's legacy of humanitarian work. While their roles often highlighted generational differences within the royal family, they also underscored a shared commitment to serving the public. Charles's support for their endeavors, coupled with his own visible presence in charitable and environmental campaigns, helped create a more cohesive narrative of a modernizing monarchy. Charles's journey of redemption was not just about repairing his personal image, but also about redefining the role of the monarchy in the 21st century. By championing causes that resonated with modern audiences, embracing transparency in his personal life, and working to rebuild trust, he managed to evolve into a respected leader with a clear sense of purpose. While the shadow of past controversies remained, Charles demonstrated a resilience and commitment to growth that earned him a measure of admiration from both critics and supporters. Ultimately, Charles's journey serves as a testament to the power of perseverance, reflection, and the willingness to adapt in the face of adversity. His life, marked by personal and public challenges, became a story of transformation and a blueprint for navigating the complexities of tradition and modernity in an ever-changing world. The impact of Diana's death on the monarchy. The tragic passing of Princess Diana in 1997 was a pivotal moment for the British monarchy, forcing the royal family to confront an unprecedented wave of public scrutiny and adapt to evolving societal expectations. Diana's death exposed a gap between the institution's traditional approach and the emotional needs of the public, reshaping how the monarchy interacted with society and influencing its trajectory for years to come. Diana's death acted as a wake-up call for the royal family, highlighting the necessity of a more modern and emotionally accessible monarchy. The widespread criticism following their perceived coldness during the mourning period underscored a disconnect between the monarchy and the people it served. In response, the institution began to shift its approach, adopting a more open and humanized image. Under Queen Elizabeth II's guidance, efforts were made to bridge the gap between tradition and modernity. Public engagements became more focused on grassroots communities, and the royal family started emphasizing relatable causes such as mental health awareness, youth empowerment, and environmental sustainability. These changes reflected Diana's influence, as she had redefined the role of a royal by stepping away from formality and forging genuine connections with people from all walks of life. Diana's unique ability to connect with the public became a blueprint for the monarchy's future. Her compassionate approach to humanitarian work, her willingness to break taboos, such as holding hands with AIDS patients, and her authenticity resonated deeply with people around the world. This approach set a new standard for what the public expected from the royal family. Her legacy is particularly evident in the work of her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who have embraced their mother's empathetic and hands-on style. From mental health campaigns like William's Heads Together initiative to Harry's work with wounded veterans through the Invictus Games, Diana's influence continues to shape the way the younger generation of royals engages with the public. Even Charles, once criticized for his perceived aloofness, adopted a more personable approach as he worked to modernize the monarchy. His focus on causes like environmental sustainability and his efforts to connect with diverse communities reflect a shift toward the values Diana championed during her life. As King Charles III, the shadow of Diana's legacy looms large over his reign. While Charles has made significant strides in rebuilding his reputation and modernizing the monarchy, Diana remains an enduring figure in the public consciousness. Her memory is a constant reminder of the monarchy's potential to inspire connection and compassion, as well as the consequences of failing to meet the expectations of a changing society. Charles's reign is defined by balancing the traditions of the past with the progressive ideals that Diana embodied. The challenges of navigating this balance are evident as he works to ensure the monarchy remains relevant in an increasingly diverse and dynamic world. Whether through embracing environmental causes, advocating for social justice, or supporting his sons in their charitable endeavors, Charles's actions are continually measured against Diana's lasting influence. Princess Diana's impact on the monarchy is undeniable. Her death forced the royal family to evolve. Her compassionate approach transformed public expectations, and her legacy continues to shape the institution's future. As the monarchy navigates the challenges of the 21st century, Diana's spirit remains a guiding force, a testament to the power of empathy, authenticity, and connection. Thank you for joining us as we explored the profound impact of Princess Diana on the British monarchy and King Charles. Her legacy continues to inspire and challenge one of the world's most enduring institutions. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you think Diana's influence will shape the future of the monarchy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth stories on history, culture, and the people who shape our world. See you in the next one.